Hi, I'm Chris. After suffering from ME/CFS for 6 years, I fully recovered. I created this healing program to guide and support you on your healing journey from CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, and related syndromes. If you haven't watched the previous videos in this series, I recommend starting from the beginning, as each video builds on the last. You can find them for free on my website at healing-space.online. In the previous video, we learned the autonomic nervous system acts as the control center of our body, influencing virtually every organ and system. When we suffer from too much stress for too long, our autonomic nervous system can become dysregulated, resulting in the many symptoms we experience, health issues, and illness. In this video, we want to explain how we end up being stuck in a vicious stress cycle, which explains the chronic nature of chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, post-COVID syndrome, and related post-viral fatigue syndromes. What usually happens to people that develop these illnesses is that after the initial symptoms, we enter a vicious stress cycle that keeps us stuck in the condition. Let's now illustrate this vicious stress cycle using our previous framework. As we discussed in earlier videos, the onset of our illness can vary. Some of us may have experienced a gradual onset without a clear trigger, while others face a sudden onset caused by a specific trigger, which is more common. This trigger was some sort of stressful event, such as an infection like herpes virus, coronavirus, Lyme disease, or an accident, injury, surgery, burnout, trauma, breakup, loss of a loved one, mold, or the exposure to certain chemicals or toxins, and so on. Whatever the trigger, and whether our illness began gradually or suddenly, there came a point when we started to experience symptoms. Typical initial symptoms of all three illnesses are persistent fatigue, low-grade fever, sleep problems, muscle and joint pain, sore throat or swollen lymph nodes, dizziness, problems focusing, headaches, irregular heartbeats, digestive issues, and others. In case we were triggered by COVID-19, we tend to also suffer from shortness of breath, chest pain, chronic cough, or loss of taste or smell. Coming back to our stress model, these symptoms are additional stressors. As we have learned previously, the way we react to stressors largely defines how much stress we experience. It's exactly the same thing with those illness-related stressors. It's completely understandable that when these symptoms arise, we automatically react in the ways we're accustomed to handling stressors. We often find ourselves reacting with judgment, impatience, expert mind, distrust, striving to fix things, resistance, and self-criticism. As previously pointed out, these reactions are not your fault. They're simply patterns we've learned over time to cope with difficult situations. For instance, we might be worried about our new symptoms. We might go to the doctor wanting to get clear answers, starting to ruminate and analyze what might be the cause, thinking that we are weak for being so fatigued and depleted all of a sudden. These behaviors and reactions are plausible, but nevertheless stressful to us. They are stressful because they keep triggering our sympathetic fight or flight reaction. This then increases our stress load further. We call this illness-related stress. Because stress from various sources add up, our total stress load consists now of our pre-illness stress and our illness-related stress. In previous lessons, we also learned that our stress threshold isn't fixed. When we experience less stress, our threshold rises, giving us greater resilience. But when we're faced with ongoing stress, our threshold lowers. Since our overall stress load increases, our stress threshold starts to decrease, making us even more vulnerable to stress. This increased mismatch between our stress level and our stress threshold typically intensifies existing symptoms or creates additional symptoms. For instance, our fatigue becomes heavier. The pain spreads all over the body. Brain fog and dizziness get to a point where we have difficulty standing up without falling onto the floor. And digestive issues may turn into an irritable bowel syndrome. Other symptoms may start to emerge, such as constantly having cold hands and feet, tinnitus, or being heavily sensitive to bright light or intense noises. These intensified and new symptoms are additional stressors. And it's natural for us to react to them in our habitual yet unhelpful ways. We might react by feeling frustrated, angry, and discouraged, questioning what is happening. We begin to resist and fight our symptoms, wanting them to disappear. This might lead us to undergo more thorough medical exams or explore alternative medicine, hoping for clear answers to our symptoms. While these reactions and behaviors are completely understandable, they keep triggering our stress reaction, further dysregulating our autonomic nervous system. This constant triggering of our stress reaction just adds further stress. This additional stress further lowers our stress threshold. This increased mismatch between the stress load and our ability to cope makes us even more vulnerable to stress. As a result, existing symptoms worsen and new symptoms appear. At this stage, we really start feeling being on edge, irritated and reactive. Things that weren't stressful before now become stressful, challenging and exhausting on a physical, emotional and mental level. For instance, we get very easily exhausted while doing simple physical activities such as going for a walk, grocery shopping, or household chores. We might get easily triggered if someone says something that upsets us. And we might be constantly worried about our symptoms, illness, and future. Disappointed with healthcare, some of us may have stopped seeking help from doctors altogether, while others may have pushed even harder, trying countless medical and alternative treatments, undergoing extensive tests, and searching desperately for answers to explain our worsening symptoms and illness. Can you see how these experiences are deeply stressful for us? They relentlessly trigger our sympathetic fight or flight reaction, keeping our mind and body in a constant state of stress and heightened arousal. At this stage, it feels nearly impossible to calm down or relax because we are stuck in this cycle of unrelenting stress. This negative stress loop keeps going on until we typically end up in a state in which we are completely exhausted, suffer from countless intense physical and cognitive symptoms, are very limited in physical and mental activity, and experience intense post-exertional malaise, which is the worsening of symptoms following even minor physical or mental exertion. By this point, many of us have likely visited numerous doctors and tried various treatments in both modern and alternative medicine, often without lasting success. This cycle of getting our hopes up only to be disappointed when treatments fail adds significant stress to our system. We feel stuck as nothing seems to work, and our condition becomes increasingly difficult to understand. We suffer from intense physical, mental, and emotional symptoms that are real and debilitating, yet not easily seen or measured by standard medical practices. We are clearly ill, yet there seems to be no explanation or cure. Understandably, we may feel frustrated, worried, angry, depressed, desperate, hopeless, and discouraged. CFS, fibromyalgia, or long-haul COVID has completely taken over every aspect of our lives. Our illness becomes the center of everyday life, influencing everything we do, think, or feel. If you start paying attention to your thoughts, you might realize just how deeply ingrained your illness is in daily life. You might be familiar with the following common thoughts. Oh, I'm not sure I can do this, go there, plan this, because I might feel very exhausted that day. Why am I feeling so exhausted again? Why am I feeling so weak today? Will I ever be able to work, do sports, have kids, go out again? Because of my illness, I cannot do, go, make, plan something. Can you see how the illness itself has become a massive source of stress? The stress from all the real physical and cognitive symptoms, the enormous emotional and mental stress of desperately trying to find a solution but not finding one, of not being understood by family, friends, and the medical world, by feeling like we have to fight a battle alone, by simply not understanding what is going on, and by being stuck in this illness which feels like a nightmare for months and sometimes even years. Hopefully you can see that the illness itself causes us enormous physical, emotional, and mental stress. This illness-related stress comes on top of the stress load that we suffered from even before getting ill. Our accumulated stress load is significantly higher than what we can cope with. The automatic and relentless triggering of our fight-or-flight reaction, even in non-threatening situations, keeps us stuck in the dysregulated state of our autonomic nervous system. Therefore, our organs and various systems cannot work properly, resulting in the chronic symptoms and persistent illness. As long as we keep reacting to our symptoms and illness in harmful and energy-depleting ways, we will remain stuck in this stress cycle, making it hard to find relief and heal. In other words, as long as we keep fighting against our symptoms, resist our illness, cannot accept how things are right now, judge ourselves for being so weak, worry about the future, and have endless pressing but unanswered questions, we will just add to our stress, keeping us stuck in this illness. So what really amplifies our stress now is the way we react to illness-related stressors. Our constant struggle and resistance towards our illness and symptoms keep triggering our fight or flight reaction and keep us stuck in a heightened state of stress. Unfortunately, this is the exact opposite of what leads to healing. The key to recovery is reducing stress, which helps bring our autonomic nervous system back into balance, ultimately alleviating symptoms and illness. The most effective way to achieve this is by replacing our harmful automatic reactions to stressors with mindful, intentional responses. This is exactly what this healing program will teach you. So, in summary, not only has there been a lot of stress in our life before we became ill, but the illness itself has now become a major source of stress. The main reason for both is essentially the same: our habitual but harmful automatic ways of reacting to stressors. These reactions increase our stress and keep us trapped in a vicious stress cycle. The combined load of stress from before our illness and the ongoing stress from dealing with our condition is simply too big for our system to handle. And therefore, we typically remain stuck and the condition becomes chronic. But I am convinced that this doesn't have to be the case. We can break this vicious stress cycle, restore balance, and return to normal functioning and full health. How to do this will be the focus of the next video. If you'd like to continue, you can watch the complete introductory video series for free on my website at healing-space.online. This video series is designed to support you in healing from CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, and related post-viral fatigue syndromes. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and follow. Thank you, and see you in the next video.